said that he just needed the opportunity. Was that what you guys felt like once he did get that?
Yeah, it's no different. The other players we've talked about, Kuznetsov, for instance, they played third line. He had like 2 goals and 6 assists, and that's they don't play very much in that league. Sometimes it hurts them, but down the road they're going to be good hockey players, and this guy actually excelled in that next step and blew us away. And then I had a chance in I was over at the under-18 championships. Nick Bobroff found out he was picked for the national team. They went in. It was the B national team, and they were playing 3 games actually against Norway and Belarus. And I took off from the U18s and flew up there. And the guy I saw in those 2 games was just completely different than what I watched in November or December in Rochester, New York, at the Russian World Junior Camp. He was just the confidence. That's all he needed. And I kid around and say I think the coach is probably like, oh, maybe I should have played him a little bit more during the season. He stepped on the ice. He was dominating against men. So it's not Canada and USA. It was Belarus and Norway, but they're very good hockey teams and men and strong. And his skill level, his hands and his head are through the roof. And he's a very, very intellectual kid, and he's a great kid. And you know what? Good people find a way to be successful, and that's what it turns out to be with him.
You think he's a good compliment to the 2 young centers you took last year?
He's he's a little bit like JT Miller, I would say. He plays like a center in his game. Like he's not. We don't think he's a goal scorer, but he scores goals. But he makes more plays, and you can't play an 18-year-old in the KHL in the center spot at all. He had been a center growing up, but that's to see in the future. But we took him as a winger.
Would you say long-term upside was kind of a theme tonight for you in the 3 picks that you made?
No, it wasn't any theme at all. I mean, it's for 9, obviously it was it's always been. I think you know me enough. It's the best player available at that pick, and Vitaly took care of that one. And then after that it was I wanted to take a defenseman. There were a number on the board, and we had Keandre hired, and he was still sitting there. And Jeff pulled the trigger to get him to move down there and get him where we wanted to get him. We didn't want to take any chances.
How intriguing is it that he's just been switched to defense, and what you've seen from him?
Well, we've seen a lot of this in over the years, but for him to in 3 years to be playing the way that he played for the U18 program in every position, he reminded me a lot of Brady Shea in the days, just with his mobility. He's an elite athlete, wide receiver and played baseball. So he's in that vein of a great athlete, and he just caught on with his mobility is outstanding. His passing is good. He's on the power play at times, but I wouldn't say he's a power play guy for the NHL. But he's going to be a top 4 defenseman.
How about Lundkvist and just?
Yeah, he's just. I was at the end of a trip in January. It was my 16th day, and it was the last trip. It was actually in Henrik Lundkvist's old town of Gothenburg for Frölunda, and I was really tired. And Nick wanted me and Janko wanted me to go see this Patrick Kjellberg's the Swedish scout. He saw this guy playing in the men's league. He had started off in the junior, and so I watched warm up. He's 5'11", and they dropped the puck, and he just took it, and he just took off and went through the whole team. And I was like, finally I was awake, and I excited about where I was. Same thing is when I saw Vitaly at the end of the season in St. Petersburg against those men, dominating the play with his play. Those 2 trips were very long, but my best day was the last day of the trip.
Is he similar? Is Vitaly similar to anyone that
No, I think a lot of the press has picked up on it, and he is for me also. He's very, very Kuznetsov like player. Kuznetsov was 6 feet, at that time, and this guy's already 6'3". Kuznetsov obviously has grown and he's matured, and and stuff. But he's very, very much like him. I'd say Kuznetsov at that age probably showed a better scoring touch, but the playmaking ability is right there. Skating and the playmaking ability is identical.
Andre was already talking about his working in the community. Can you just kind of speak to his character and how he just looks like you?
Well, I mean, you just sit and and as you meet him, and then meeting him during the season was a little bit different. It's after games, but in that combine setting where you have him for 20 minutes and you listen to him talk about what his mother means to him, single mother. I was actually coming back from the stage, and she was talking to the press, and she was just shaking. And I was like, wow, that's awesome for him and her. And his whole thing is I want to play pro hockey, but I want to do it, and I want to take care of my mother.
Last year's picks had a chance to play. These picks more prospects down the road in 8 years. Obviously, he still has to go back to Russia for a year.
We weren't talking about those guys playing. You just don't know. You go to training camp and summer camp first, and you tell them what they got to work on, then they come back, and it's all up to them. And I think Jeff's no different than Glenn. If they come back and they show they can, that looks like they're going to play, then if they earn a spot, they earn it. It's always been that way. But there's no hurry. And we'll talk to them about the best place, that is for them in the next year or two to be playing and maturing and growing.
For a guy like you, how exciting was a night like tonight? 3 number 1 picks.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. We've got the scouts understand the responsibility that we had in this rebuild, and those were 3 kids that we targeted amongst a few other guys, and we got 3 of the kids we targeted. So